Hey, Facebook. Good to see you guys. I've got a question for you. Does your student have a diploma or a certificate of completion? Some of you are saying, well, what is a certificate of completion? Well, let me tell you. And by the way, this is Anita Gibson, coach, speaker, and educational strategist, and the president of PXL Academy. So let's get back to that certificate of completion. In our state, there are students who are receiving something called a certificate of completion instead of a diploma. The certificate indicates that that student has gone through 12 years in the system and nothing more. It will not get them into the military. It will not help them get a job. It will not give them access to college. It simply moves them out of the system. And as a parent, you need to be aware of that, because there are some schools of thought that they help a child for so long and then they just got to move them on. And I get that. It's not easy what the school system has to manage, but you as a parent, you need to be aware. So make sure that your children are working towards a diploma and not a certificate of completion. So the next question that people would ask me is, well, can a struggling student in high school be able to actually graduate and receive a diploma? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. You might be 2 years behind, but guess what? It doesn't take 2 years to catch up, because usually what needs to happen is there's gaps in your learning. And once those gaps get filled in your math, and gaps get filled in your comprehension, and gaps get filled in your reading ability, you're able to move more quickly and catch up to the levels that you need to get to. I want to share with you a story. We've changed the student's name to protect his identity. This student's name is Darryl. And Darryl was an amazing young man, very creative. One day a crisis occurred in his life. His father walked out on the family and abandoned them. And Darryl ended up homeless. He and his mom and brother ended up sleeping in cars and sleeping in families' homes on the floor. And Darryl was just decimated. He was so discouraged that one day he found himself at Children's Hospital on suicide watch. He could not believe that, he could not wrap his head around the fact that his father had left them, and he felt like nobody cared. And so he had to stay there for a while, and they worked with him. We prayed for him. We supported his mom. And in time, Darryl was able to decide that he wanted to live. And so he joined our program, PXL Academy. He came in and received one-on-one tutoring. He was able to connect with our mentors. He was able to get that study skill support and get some strengths training to find out what his passions were. And in time, he was able to improve his academics. He connected with the students, and he actually was accepted into an art school, which was his passion, and he is doing well. And so I'm here to tell you that he is just one of many students that I have personally seen and helped who were struggling as high school students and were able to continue. Now, he hasn't graduated yet, but we have experienced many students who have graduated and gone on to college, who have graduated from college and are doing well. So I'm here to encourage you, parent. If you have a student who is struggling in high school, please don't give up on them. There are ways to help them. We've got to find out what they're great at. We've got to find a way to get them motivated to want to learn some things. And so today, down the road, when you get discouraged, I want you to remember Darryl's story. I want you to know that help and hope are here. Make sure your children are not receiving certificates of completion in high school. Make sure they actually are receiving a diploma. Because if they walk away from high school with a certificate of completion, they are stuck. They will not be able to get a job. They will not be able to go to college. They will not be able to join the military because all of those institutions require a diploma. And so ask questions. When it's time for them to graduate, make sure they have the things that they need. Don't assume that the guidance counselor in the school has done their job. I actually had a niece who her guidance counselor forgot to tell their whole 10th grade class that it was time to sign up for the PSAT. And so they just didn't take it and didn't tell the parents. But because I'm an educator, I started asking questions. Well, did you take your PSAT? Because she was asking me to help her with getting ready for college. And we found out that the guidance counselor forgot about it. Little details. So sometimes we think because our students are in high school that it's time to take our hands off and, let them manage it. But guess what? We have to still be paying attention because we are their advocates and they need us alongside of them because they need that wisdom that we have. And sometimes things are going on that they don't realize are out of whack, but we will know if we take the time to check and look because we are their advocates. We stand on their behalf. When no one else does, we stand in the gap for them. So tonight, when I want to encourage you to remember Darryl's story, if you have a student who is struggling in high school, let me tell you, they can turn around. Because like I said, those gaps, they might have a 2-year gap, but it doesn't take 2 years to fill it because there are just pieces and parts that are missing. That once those pieces get put back together and put in place, the gaps will close. And that 2-year gap might only take 6 months to close. And that student can move on and get to what they need to get to. So I encourage you to help your student. Help them to know what they're good at. Give them a strengths finder test. Have them find out what their passions are. Give them opportunities to put their hands on things so they can find out what they love. And they will begin to move towards their purpose without you having to drag them. Wouldn't it be nice for them to take the initiative and for you to not have to always push and prod? Well, all you have to do is help them find their passion. All you have to do is help them find what ignites that fire in them. Find that thing that they do even if they didn't get paid for. If you can help them find that thing, you will help them find their life. You will help them find their future. So I encourage you, don't get stuck on the struggle. They might be struggling academically, but it doesn't mean that they don't have strengths in other areas. Find out what those strengths are. And that strength will become an ally to you in helping them in their academics. Because many times what will happen is they'll begin to improve their academics because they want to use it for that strength, to find out more about the thing that they're excited about. They'll read books about that. So tonight, I want you to know that you can do this, that it's not too hard, that you are the advocate for your child that God has prepared, and that all you have to do is be ready to do the work. Ask questions, check on them. If they say they feel like you're babying them, it's okay. Because sometimes they need our support. All right, guys, I'm out. It's Anita Gibson, coach, speaker, and educational strategist. I love you so much. And I know that you guys can do this. You are the greatest champion your child will ever have. And you have everything you need. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.